there, and welcome back to Eco Wealth Lab. It's great to have you with us again.
Yeah, absolutely. We're ready to get into the thick of it.
We are indeed. This is your spot for making sense of, well, the often kind of crazy world of crypto investing.
Definitely.
And hey, speaking of investing, if you've got those crypto-curious friends, the ones kind of peeking over the fence,
Mm-hmm.
why not share this deep dive? Tell them to stake a bit of their attention with us.
Huh. I like that.
Yeah, the potential yield, a much better understanding of what's actually moving in this space.
That's a good one. And look, we know things move fast, so today we've done the legwork, sifted through the noise.
Right.
We're aiming to pull out what really matters for you, the investor. We'll look at where the focus seems to be shifting in crypto.
Okay.
What's happening with those Bitcoin ETFs, touch on some broader market stuff, and flag some things to watch.
Perfect. So let's dive right in. One thing that caught my eye, reports suggesting investor attention is maybe broadening out a bit.
Yeah, that's right. Beyond just the big names we always talk about.
Exactly, like more buzz around meme coins.
Hmm.
And also AI-related crypto projects.
Well, that's definitely a narrative gaining steam. It's not that Bitcoin or Ether are forgotten, not at all.
No, of course not.
But it does seem like, there's this exploration happening, people looking at these, let's say, more narrative-driven corners of the market. What do you think is behind that?
Well, it shows how dynamic this market is, right? How quickly a story or a new tech angle can just take off.
Absolutely. The meme coin thing, okay, sometimes that feels very driven by social media, hype.
Sure, high risk, potentially high reward, maybe.
First
Don't
that,
know.
exactly that. And then the AI angle, that taps into a much bigger tech trend we're seeing everywhere, not just crypto. People are excited about AI, and they're looking at how blockchain fits in, or could fit in.
So it highlights that need to kind of stay aware of these emerging stories.
Definitely. New ideas get traction fast here. You got to keep your ears open.
Okay, good point. Now, shifting gears a bit, but sticking with major players. Bitcoin ETFs. We heard about outflows recently.
We did. Yeah, there was a period of that.
But now, indications are maybe inflows are starting up again. Or it could be.
Yeah, there are some early signs, some reports suggesting the tide might be turning back towards inflows for the spot Bitcoin ETFs.
What does that potentially signal? I mean, after the initial rush and then the pullback.
Well, the outflows could have just been profit-taking, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe some initial investors rebalancing after that big launch excitement.
Makes sense.
If we do see sustained inflows returning, that could suggest, a deeper, maybe more institutional conviction settling in for the longer term.
So less about the initial hype, more about strategic allocation.
Potentially. For listeners, it could mean Bitcoin's gaining more acceptance in, let's say, traditional portfolios,
Yeah.
which might lead to maybe a bit more stability over time. Still volatile, of course.
Always volatile. But something to watch. So keep an eye on the flow data.
Definitely. Look for consistent trends, not just one-day blips.
Got it. Okay, let's zoom out. Broader economy stuff. We saw President Trump making comments about the Fed.
Criticizing the chair for holding off on interest rate cuts.
Right. How does that kind of political commentary or just the whole interest rate debate filter into the crypto world? Does it?
Oh, it absolutely can. Look, Fed policy on interest rates affects the cost of borrowing, right? General economic mood.
Sure.
So the thinking often goes, lower rates can make riskier assets, maybe like crypto, look a bit more appealing compared to safer options that aren't yielding much.
Seeking yield, basically.
Yeah. And conversely, if rates stay high or go higher, investors might lean towards safer bets. So while crypto has its own internal dynamics.
Meme coins and AI projects.
Exactly. These big macro discussions about monetary policy, they create background noise, or maybe even currents, that influence where money flows overall. It's not always direct, but it's definitely a factor in the backdrop.
Something to be aware of, even if it's not the main driver day to day. Okay. Now, back to crypto specifics. There was some news about Coinbase and their base layer network.
Yes. That was interesting. They apparently acted pretty quickly to distance the network from a specific token.
Yeah, a token that got some promotion but then faced criticism.
That's the one. And Coinbase stepped in. What this really shows, I think, is the pressure these big platforms are under.
To manage risk and reputation.
Exactly. Maintaining the integrity of their network, user trust, it's crucial. By acting fast on a controversial token, they're sending a message.
About wanting to keep the ecosystem clean, so to speak.
Yeah, or at least manage the obvious risks. For investors, it kind of highlights that the platform you use, their policies, their willingness to act, That matters. It's part of the industry trying to mature, figure out self-regulation.
Right, dealing with the challenges that come with growth and innovation.
It's an ongoing process.
Okay, almost ready to wrap this quick dive, but let's touch on the wider market context. Stock markets were a bit choppy earlier this week,
Yeah, saw some volatility, trade news, tariff talk, some earnings reports.
caused some wobbles. And things ended the week pretty mixed before the holiday today, Good Friday, when U.S. stock markets are closed.
That's right, closed today.
And we saw some big individual stock moves too, like Eli Lilly jumping.
Yeah, big jump on drug news, over 14%, I think.
While UnitedHealth continued to slide quite a bit.
Yeah, that's been under pressure, down, 22% yesterday? Major tech stocks were mostly kind of modestly down.
So how does this general stock market action, this volatility, or these specific sector stories potentially connect back to crypto?
Well, it's mainly about risk appetite, when traditional markets get nervous or choppy.
Like earlier this week.
Exactly. Some investors might just pull back from anything they see as higher risk, and crypto often falls into that bucket for many.
So a risk-off mood can be a headwind for crypto.
It often can be, yeah. On the flip side, sometimes really strong positive sentiment in stocks can maybe provide a little tailwind. The big individual movers, like Lilly or UNH, they show specific things happening in healthcare, for example. Not directly crypto-related, but they add to the overall economic picture investors are digesting.
So it all feeds into the general investor mood music.
Pretty much, yeah. It's all connected, even if indirectly sometimes.
Okay, so bringing it all together then, we've got this shifting focus within crypto, meme coins, AI. We've got potential changes in Bitcoin ETF flows, the ongoing interest rate debate, platform actions like Coinbase's, and this backdrop of broader market activity. What's the main thing our listeners should take away?
I think the key takeaway is complexity
Yeah.
and interconnectedness. The crypto space isn't in a vacuum.
Right.
New tech and narratives pop up all the time, yes. But the big players like Bitcoin, the macro factors like interest rates, the general market mood, they all play a role.
So stay informed on multiple fronts.
Absolutely. You need to understand how these different pieces might fit together, how they could influence your investments. It's about balancing the excitement of new stuff with the fundamentals and, managing your risk.
Sound advice. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive today. Hope you found it useful.
Oh, so too.
If you did, definitely hit subscribe on Eco Wealth Lab so you don't miss what's next. And hey, leave us a review. It genuinely helps other people find the show.
It really does. And follow us for ongoing updates.
And maybe think about this as you go about your day. With all these trends swirling meme coins, AI, traditional market shifts, potential policy changes, how are you thinking about adapting your own strategy?
Yeah, how do you navigate this complex picture? It's definitely something to mull over.
For sure. Until next time, from everyone here at Eco Wealth Lab, stay informed, stay curious.
And happy investing.